The alarm rang through the starship horizon like a screaming child. Red lights flashed everywhere. Dropped his coffee and watched the brown liquid float away in the low gravity. He had been a translator on this ship for 3 years, and he had never heard this alarm before. "All crew to battle stations," the captain's voice came through the speakers. "We have been boarded. This is not a drill." Felt his heart stop. Boarded? By who? They were in neutral space, far from any war zones. He was just a translator. He spoke 14 alien languages, but he had never held a weapon in his life. His job was to talk, not to fight. He ran down the hallway, trying to find somewhere safe. Other crew members rushed past him, some carrying weapons, some just running like him. The ship shook as something exploded somewhere below, fell against the wall and kept moving. Someone shouted as they ran past, "It's the..." His blood turned cold. They were the most feared warriors in the galaxy. They stood over 2 meters tall, with skin like purple stone and 4 arms that could tear a human apart like paper. Their empire had conquered hundreds of worlds. They did not take prisoners. They did not show mercy. They killed everything in their path. Why would attack a simple research ship? They had nothing valuable. They were just scientists and translators and engineers. This made no sense. Another explosion shook the ship, lost his balance and fell through an open door. He rolled across the floor and hit something hard. When he looked up, he realized he was in the cargo bay. Huge metal containers surrounded him, creating shadows and hiding places. Maybe he could hide here until the attack was over. He crawled behind a large container and pressed his back against the cold metal. His breathing was too loud. He covered his mouth with his hands and tried to calm down. Think. You have survived worse than this." Actually, no, he had not. This was definitely the worst thing that had ever happened to him. He heard footsteps, heavy footsteps. Something was coming into the cargo bay. Peeked around the corner of the container. What he saw made his soul leave his body. A warrior stood in the doorway, but this was not just any warrior. This was a female and knew enough about their culture to understand what that meant. Female were the elite fighters of their species. They were faster, stronger, and more deadly than the males. They led armies. They conquered worlds. They were legends. This one wore black armor that seemed to absorb the light. Her purple skin was marked with silver scars, each one representing a victory in battle. Her 4 arms held different weapons: a sword, an axe, a gun, and something did not recognize but looked very painful. Her eyes scanned the room like a hunter looking for prey. Stopped breathing. If he stayed perfectly still, maybe she would not see him. Maybe she would walk past. Maybe he would survive this day. The warrior walked deeper into the cargo bay. Her boots made no sound now. She moved like water, smooth and silent. She was checking behind each container, looking for hiding humans. She was getting closer to his hiding spot. He looked around desperately. There was another door on the far side of the cargo bay. If he could reach it, he could escape. But it was at least 30 meters away. He would have to run past her. That was impossible. She would catch him in 3 steps. But staying here was also death. She would find him in less than a minute. Made a decision. He would run. It was stupid. It was suicide. But it was better than waiting here like a scared animal. He took a deep breath and burst from his hiding spot. His legs pumped as fast as they could. The door seemed so far away. He could hear nothing but his own heartbeat. Then something wrapped around his ankle and he crashed to the floor. Pain shot through his body. He rolled over and saw a metal wire connected to his leg. The warrior had thrown some kind of trap. She walked toward him slowly. There was no rush. He was caught. He was finished. Tried to pull the wire off his leg, but it only got. He crawled backward, but there was nowhere to go. His back hit another container. He was trapped. The warrior stopped in front of him. She was even bigger up close. Her shadow covered him completely. She looked down at him like he was an insect. "Human," she said. Her voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "You run like prey." opened his mouth but no words came out. His translator chip was working. He understood her perfectly, but his brain had stopped functioning. All he could do was stare at her. She raised her sword. The blade was longer than its entire body. It caught the light and gleamed like a promise of death. Any last words, pray? This was it. This was how would die, not in his bed as an old man, not surrounded by family, but here in a cold cargo bay, killed by an alien warrior who saw him as nothing more than something to step on. His life flashed before his eyes, his childhood on Earth, his first day at the Translation Academy, his mother's face when he left for space, all the languages he had learned, all the places he had seen, all the things he would never do. The sword began to fall. And then something happened that would change the galaxy forever. Later would not remember making a conscious decision to speak. His brain had shut down completely. Only his mouth was still working, and it chose the worst possible moment to say the most random thing. He looked up at the deadly warrior, at her fierce purple face and her cold killer's gaze, and he blurted out the first thing that came to his broken mind. But that is a story for the next part. For now, the sword hung in the air, and the most dangerous alien warrior woman in the sector stared down at a small human translator who had no idea that his panic was about to make history. The cargo bay was silent. The red lights kept flashing, and wondered if this was really how his story would end. It was not. It was only the beginning. The sword was falling. His life was ending. His brain had completely stopped working, but his mouth had other plans. "You have really pretty eyes," he shouted. "Please don't kill me." The words left his mouth before he could stop them. They hung in the air like floating ghosts. Heard himself say them and immediately wished he could take them back. Of all the things he could have said in his final moment, he had chosen to compliment his killer's eyes. His mother would be so disappointed. But something strange happened. The sword stopped moving. It was now frozen in the air just centimeters from his face. He could see his own reflection in the blade. He looked terrified. He looked stupid. He looked like a man who had just said something incredibly embarrassing. The warrior was staring at him. Her face had changed. The cold killer expression was gone. In its place was something had never seen on a face before. She looked confused. More than confused, she looked shocked. "What did you say?" Her voice was different now, quieter, uncertain. His mouth was still working faster than his brain. "I said you have pretty eyes. They're very purple, like a nice purple, a pretty purple. I mean all of you is purple, but your eyes are especially purple. In a good way, please don't kill me." He wanted to stop talking. He really did. But the words kept coming out like water from a broken pipe. The warrior lowered her sword, not completely, but enough that could breathe again. She was still staring at him with that strange expression. "Human," she said slowly, "do you know what you have just said?" Nodded. "Yes, I said you have pretty eyes. I know it's weird. I'm sorry. I just panicked. I don't know why I said it. My brain stopped working. I think I'm in shock. Can shock make you say stupid things? I think it can. I'm definitely in shock." "Stop talking." Stop talking. He had never obeyed an order so quickly in his life. The warrior stood very still. Her 4 arms hung at her sides. She seemed to be thinking very hard about something. Watched her face, trying to understand what was happening. Why was he still alive? Why had she not killed him yet? "You speak," she said finally. "Yes," answered carefully. "I'm a translator. I speak 14 languages." "Then you know our customs." Thought about this. He knew some customs. He knew they valued strength and honor. He knew they never retreated from battle. He knew they ate their meat raw and considered cooked food a sign of weakness. But he did not know what any of this had to do with pretty eyes. "I know some customs," he admitted, "but I don't understand why you stopped." The warrior made a sound. It might have been a laugh. It was hard to tell with. "Human, you just spoke the first words to me." The first words. The beginning of the bonding ritual. The ancient ceremony that joins two warriors together for life. Felt his stomach drop to his feet. I did what? When a wishes to bond with another, they must first compliment the other's eyes. It is the most sacred thing we can say. Eyes are the windows to the warrior's soul. To praise another's eyes is to praise their very being. His brain finally started working again, and it immediately began screaming at him. He had accidentally proposed to an alien warrior woman while she was trying to kill him, on a ship that was being attacked. This was bad. This was very, very bad. I didn't mean it like that, he said quickly. I was just panicking. It was an accident. I didn't know about your bonding thing. You did not know? No, I'm a translator, not a culture expert. I know how to say hello and where is the bathroom in. I don't know about your marriage rituals. The warrior tilted her head. She looked at him differently now, less like a predator looking at prey, more like a scientist looking at a strange new creature. Then you did not intend to bond with me. No, I mean not that you're not nice or anything. I'm sure you're great. You're very tall and you have nice armor, but I was just trying not to die. I said the first thing that came into my head. I'm very sorry if I offended you. Offended me? Yes, I know it must be insulting to have some random human accidentally propose to you. I didn't mean to disrespect your culture. I was just scared. The warrior was quiet for a long moment, could hear fighting somewhere in the distance. Explosions, screams. The attack was still happening, but in this small cargo bay, time seemed to have stopped. You are strange human, the warrior said finally. I get that a lot. What is your name? She said his name carefully, testing each sound. I am of the 3rd Battle Fleet. I have killed 472 enemies in combat. I have conquered 3 planets. I have never lost a fight. Swallowed hard. That's very impressive. And you are the first person who has ever spoken the first words to me. Really, no one else has ever. No, I am too feared, too dangerous. Others avoid me. They respect me, but they fear me too much to approach me. Even the bravest warriors will not speak the first words to of the 3rd Battle Fleet. Didn't know what to say. For a moment, he saw something in her eyes, something that looked almost like loneliness. It was there for just a second and then it was gone. So when you said those words, continued, I was surprised. I bet you were. I have never been surprised before. I do not like surprises. I'm very sorry about the surprise. Looked down at him. Was still sitting on the floor, his legs still caught in the wire trap. He probably looked pathetic. He felt pathetic. I should kill you, said. Please don't. You are an enemy. You are on an enemy ship. My orders are to leave no survivors. I understand, but maybe you could make an exception, just this once. His face was unreadable, had no idea what she was thinking. He had played his only card and it had been an accident. He had nothing left. All he could do was wait and hope. The first words have been spoken, said slowly. Even if you did not mean them, they cannot be unspoken. To kill you now would be to dishonor the ancient ritual. That's good, right? It is complicated. Reached down and cut the wire around his leg. He rubbed his ankle, feeling the blood flow back into his foot. Stand up. He stood up. He was much shorter than her. The top of his head barely reached her chest. He felt like a child standing next to a giant. You have created a problem, said. A very large problem. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I cannot kill you, but I also cannot let you go. The ritual is incomplete. Until it is resolved, you are bound to me. His eyes went wide. Bound to you, what does that mean? It means you belong to me now, human. You are under my protection, and you will stay under my protection until we figure out what to do with you. But my ship, my crew. Your ship will not be destroyed. Your crew will not be killed. Because of you, this attack is now over. Couldn't believe what he was hearing. He had stopped an alien invasion. By accident. By panicking and saying something stupid about pretty eyes. Turned and walked toward the cargo bay door. She stopped and looked back at him. Come, human, we have much to discuss. Followed her. He didn't have a choice. And as he walked behind the deadliest warrior in the galaxy, he couldn't help but wonder, what had he gotten himself into? Walked through the ship like she owned it. Other warriors saw her and immediately stepped aside. They bowed their heads. Some of them even looked afraid. Followed behind her, feeling very small and very confused. The others stared at him. He was the only human walking freely on the ship. Everyone else had been captured or was hiding. But here was this little human, following behind their most feared commander like a lost pet. One warrior stepped forward. He was big, even for a. His armor was red, meaning he was a high-ranking officer. Commander, he said, why is this human not in chains? Stopped walking. She turned to face the officer. Her eyes were cold and dangerous. This human is under my protection. That is all you need to know. But our orders. Are you questioning me? The big officer went pale. Well, as pale as a purple alien could go. He lowered his head quickly. No, Commander, I would never question you. Good, now tell your warriors to stand down. The attack is over. We are leaving. Looked confused. Leaving, but we haven't finished. I said we are leaving. Do I need to repeat myself? No, Commander. Hurried away, barking orders to the other warriors. Within minutes, the soldiers were pulling back. They stopped fighting. They released the humans they had captured. They returned to their own ship. Watched all of this with his mouth hanging open. This was impossible. Never retreated. They never showed mercy. They fought until they won or until they died. But here they were, leaving a half-conquered ship, all because of something had said. Led him to the airlock that connected the two ships. Her vessel was on the other side, dark and massive. It looked like a predator waiting to swallow him whole. Wait, said, I can't leave my ship, my crew needs me. Turned to face him. Your crew is safe now because of you, but you cannot stay with them. Why not? Because the ritual is incomplete. If I leave you here, you will be marked as a coward. A human who spoke the first words and then ran away. Other will hunt you. They will kill you to restore honor. But I didn't mean to speak the first words. That does not matter. The words were spoken. The ritual has begun. Until it is completed or properly ended, you are bound to me. Felt sick. He had accidentally entered into some kind of alien marriage ritual, and now he was being kidnapped by his accidental almost wife. His day was getting worse and worse. How do we end the ritual properly? He asked. There are only two ways. First, I can reject you publicly. I declare you unworthy and cast you out. This would shame you forever, but you would be free. That sounds fine, let's do that. I cannot do that. Why not? Was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer, almost vulnerable. Because you are the only one who has ever spoken the first words to me, even if it was an accident, even if you did not mean it. For me to reject you would be to admit that I am unworthy of bonding. It would shame me, not you. Started to understand. Was trapped too. In her culture, being rejected after the first words was deeply humiliating, but never receiving the first words was also shameful. Had accidentally given her something she had never had before, and now she couldn't throw it away. What's the second way? He asked. The ritual must be completed, all 7 stages. Only then can we part as equals with honor for both of us. 7 stages, how long does that take? In the old times it could take years. Today it is usually much faster, perhaps a few weeks. A few weeks. His head was spinning. He couldn't spend weeks on a warship. He was a translator, not a diplomat. He had no idea how to navigate alien politics and ancient rituals. But what choice did he have? "Fine," he said. "I'll come with you, but you have to promise my ship and my crew will be safe." "They are already safe. I have given my word, no one will touch them." "And you'll help me complete the ritual so I can go home?" "Yes, I will guide you through each stage. And when it is done, you will be free to return to your people." Took a deep breath. This was crazy. This was absolutely crazy, but he had survived this far by saying something stupid. Maybe he could survive a little longer. He followed through the airlock and onto the ship. The inside was nothing like he expected. He had imagined dark corridors and torture chambers, but the ship was actually quite beautiful. The walls were decorated with intricate carvings. Soft purple light filled the hallways. It felt more like a palace than a warship. Others watched them pass. They whispered to each other. News was spreading fast. Commander, the feared warrior who had never been approached, was walking with a human. A small, weak, pathetic human who had somehow spoken the first words. Could feel their eyes on him. Some looked curious. Some looked disgusted. Some looked almost jealous. He kept his head down and stayed close to. She led him to a large door. It opened to reveal a spacious room. There was a bed big enough for a, which meant it was huge for. There were weapons on the walls. A window showed the stars outside. It was clearly personal quarters. "You will stay here," said. "This is the safest place on the ship." "In your room." It is tradition. During the bonding ritual, the two participants must share quarters. It is meant to build trust. Felt his face get hot. "I'm not sure that's appropriate." "Calm yourself, human. I will not touch you. The ritual has rules. Nothing physical happens until the fourth stage, and even then only if both participants agree." "Oh good, that's good." Walked to a small table and poured 2 cups of dark liquid. She handed one too. He sniffed it carefully. It smelled like burnt coffee and old socks. "Drink," said. "It will calm your nerves." "What is it?" "Warrior's tea. It is traditional to share drinks after the first words are spoken." Looked at the cup. The liquid was bubbling slightly. It looked alive. "Is it safe for humans?" "I do not know, but if it kills you, at least you will die with honor." Wasn't sure if that was a joke. Weren't known for their sense of humor, but something in his eyes looked almost amused. He took a small sip. It tasted terrible, like drinking motor oil mixed with pepper, but it didn't kill him immediately, so that was something. Sat down across from him. Without her weapons drawn, she looked almost peaceful, almost normal. Just a very tall, very purple woman with 4 arms and the power to destroy planets. "You are strange," she said again. "You keep saying that." "Because it is true. Most humans would be crying or begging by now, but you just sit there and drink tea and make jokes." "I think I'm still in shock. The crying and begging will probably come later." Made that sound again, the one that might have been a laugh. "I think I like you, human." "Please don't. The last person who liked me gave me a plant and I killed it within a week." "You killed a plant?" "I forgot to water it. I'm not very responsible." Stared at him. Then she made the laughing sound again, louder this time. "You are very honest for a human." "I'm too tired to lie. It's been a long day." "Yes, it has been a long day for both of us." They sat in silence for a moment. The ship hummed around them. Stars moved slowly outside the window. Realized that he was traveling away from his ship, away from his crew, into the unknown. And somehow, he wasn't as scared as he should be. Maybe it was the warrior's tea. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Or maybe it was because, despite everything, didn't seem like she wanted to hurt him. "What happens next?" asked. "Tomorrow, we begin the second stage of the ritual, the sharing of stories. You will tell me about your life and I will tell you about mine." "That doesn't sound too hard." "It is harder than you think. You must tell the truth, all of it, even the parts you are ashamed of." Thought about his life, his failures, his fears, his mistakes. Could he really share all of that with an alien warrior he had just met? He supposed he would find out tomorrow. For now, he finished his terrible tea and tried to accept that his life had completely changed, all because he had panicked and said something stupid about pretty eyes. The news spread like fire through both ships. On the horizon, couldn't believe what they were hearing. Their translator, the quiet man who spent most of his time reading books and drinking coffee, had somehow stopped an alien invasion by proposing to the enemy commander. His best friend and fellow crew member laughed until tears ran down her face. He said what? She gasped between laughs. He told her she had pretty eyes. Captain Minu stood at the front of the room, looking tired and confused. The attack had been stopped, but now he had to deal with this mess. According to the commander, Mr. accidentally initiated something called a bonding ritual. He's now on the ship, and he won't be released until the ritual is complete. So is married to an alien? Someone asked. Not exactly married, it's more like engaged against his will by accident. Wiped her eyes. Only he could accidentally propose to an alien warrior while being murdered. This isn't funny, Captain Minu said. We've lost our only translator who speaks, and we need to figure out how to get him back. Can't we just ask them to return him? It's not that simple. They have strict rules about their rituals. If the commander releases before the ritual is done, she loses honor. If tries to escape, he gets killed. They're both stuck. How long does the ritual take? Weeks apparently, maybe longer. The room went quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. The gentle translator who couldn't hurt a fly was now trapped on a ship full of the galaxy's deadliest warriors. He would have to survive their customs, their food, their culture. It seemed impossible. He'll be fine, said finally. Is smarter than he looks. If anyone can talk their way out of an alien marriage, it's him. Meanwhile, on the ship, the warriors were having their own reactions. Word had spread quickly that Commander had brought a human aboard, not as a prisoner but as a potential bondmate. The idea was so strange, so unexpected, that many refused to believe it at first. But the truth was right there for everyone to see. Of the third battle fleet, the warrior who had never been approached, who was too terrifying for even the bravest to speak to, had received the first words from a small human translator. The reactions were mixed. Some warriors thought it was disgraceful. A great warrior like bonded to a weak human. It was an insult to their entire species. They whispered in corners and glared at whenever he passed by. Others were curious. Humans were strange creatures. They were small and soft and broke easily, but they had also spread across the galaxy faster than any other species. They had survived things that should have killed them. Maybe there was more to them than met the eye. And some, secretly, were almost envious. Was feared by everyone, but she was also alone. No one had ever been brave enough to approach her. This human, whether by accident or not, had done something that no had ever managed to do. Knew none of this. He was too busy trying to survive. The sharing of stories was harder than he expected, wanted to know everything. His childhood, his family, his dreams, his failures, nothing was off limits. He told her about growing up on Earth, about the small apartment he shared with his mother after his father left. He told her about learning languages, how the sounds and patterns came naturally to him when nothing else did. He told her about feeling different, feeling like he didn't belong anywhere. I was never good at fighting, he admitted, or sports, or anything physical, but I could talk. I could understand people, even when I didn't understand myself. Listened without speaking. Her face revealed nothing, but her eyes were focused on him completely. Your father left, she said. Why? I don't know. I was very young. My mother never talked about it. I think it hurt her too much. On my world, a parent who abandons their child is hunted down and killed. It is the greatest shame a can commit. Didn't know what to say to that. Your turn, he said. Tell me about your life. Was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, softer, more vulnerable. I was born during a war. My mother died giving birth to me. My father raised me alone, but he was a soldier. He was gone most of the time. I raised myself mostly. That sounds lonely. It was, but loneliness made me strong. I had no one to rely on, so I relied on myself. I trained harder than anyone. I fought harder than anyone. I became the warrior that everyone feared. But no one approached you. No, no one was brave enough. They saw my strength and they were afraid. They saw my victories and they felt small. I was respected, but I was never wanted. Felt something shift in his chest. Was the deadliest warrior in the galaxy, but in some ways she was just like him. Lonely, misunderstood, different. That's why you didn't kill me, he said quietly. When I spoke the first words, even though they were an accident, they were still something. Met his eyes. For a moment the fierce warrior was gone. In her place was just a person who had been alone for too long. You are the first person who ever looked at me and did not see a monster, she said. Even if you were just panicking, even if you did not mean it. You said I had pretty eyes. You saw something beautiful in me, even when you were terrified. Swallowed hard. He didn't know how to respond to that. I did mean it, he said finally. About your eyes, they are pretty. Purple is my favorite color, actually. Stared at him. Then she made that laughing sound again, but this time it was softer, warmer. You are very strange. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. The days passed and moved through the stages of the ritual. They shared meals together, eating foods that ranged from delicious to terrifying. They trained together, with teaching basic defense moves that he was terrible at. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. The other watched with growing fascination. The human was not dying. He was not crying. He was not begging to be released. He was laughing and joking with their commander, treating her like a normal person instead of a terrifying legend. The officer who had questioned earlier approached one day. Human, he said gruffly, you confuse me. I confuse myself most of the time. You are weak, you cannot fight, you cannot survive on your own, yet you do not fear the commander. Why? Thought about the question. It was a good one. Because she's not scary once you get to know her, he said. She's just lonely and tired, and she really likes that terrible warrior's tea. Looked at him like he had grown a second head. You are very strange. So I've been told. Walked away shaking his head, but noticed that the other warriors were looking at him differently now, less like an insect, more like something interesting, something worth watching. That night asked him a question. Do you regret it, speaking the first words to me? Thought about his answer carefully. 2 weeks ago, he would have said yes without hesitation. He wanted to go home. He wanted to see his crew. He wanted to sleep in his own bed and drink normal coffee instead of warrior's tea. But now he wasn't so sure. No, he said honestly, I don't regret it. It was an accident, but it led me here, to you, and you're not what I expected. What did you expect? A monster, a killer, someone cold and cruel and heartless. And what did you find? Smiled, a person, just a person. Stronger than me, definitely. Scarier than me for sure, but still just a person. Someone who drinks too much tea and snores in her sleep and secretly watches human comedy shows when she thinks no one is looking. His face turned a darker shade of purple, realized she was embarrassed. You saw that. I wasn't going to mention it, but yes, I saw that. Those shows are educational. I was learning about human culture. Sure, that's why you laughed so hard at the pie scene. Glared at him, but there was no anger in it, just embarrassment and something else, something warmer. You are very annoying. So I've been told. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside the window, the stars continued their endless dance. and somewhere in the chaos of the universe, two lonely people had found each other in the strangest possible way. 3 weeks had passed since accidentally proposed to the deadliest warrior in the galaxy. The bonding ritual was almost complete. They had finished 6 of the 7 stages. Only one remained, the declaration. This was the final step, where both participants would stand before the High Council and announce the result of their ritual. They could declare a true bond, becoming partners for life. Or they could declare an honorable separation, acknowledging that the ritual had been completed but that no permanent bond would form. Either way, both parties would walk away with their honor intact. The night before the declaration couldn't sleep. He stood by the window in his quarters, watching the stars. There was visible in the distance a purple and silver planet that glowed like a jewel. Found him there, standing alone in the darkness. "You cannot sleep," she said. It was not a question. "No, too much thinking." She came to stand beside him. In the dim light, she looked almost peaceful, almost gentle, nothing like the terrifying warrior who had tried to kill him 3 weeks ago. "What are you thinking about?" Was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke honestly as the ritual required. "I'm thinking about what to declare tomorrow." Went very still. "Have you decided?" "No, that's the problem. I don't know what to do." They had not talked about this. Through all the stages of the ritual, through all the sharing and training and talking, they had avoided this one topic. But now it was here, and they couldn't avoid it anymore. "What do you want?" asked softly. She never used just his first name. It felt intimate, personal. "I don't know. A month ago I wanted to go home. I wanted to see my crew and my ship and forget any of this ever happened. But now I'm not sure what home even means anymore." Turned to face him. Her eyes caught the starlight, shining like purple diamonds. "I must tell you something," she said. "Something I should have told you before." Waited. "When you spoke the first words to me, I told you I stopped because of the ritual, because of tradition and honor, but that was not the whole truth." What was the whole truth? Looked away. For the first time since he had met her, she seemed uncertain, vulnerable. "I stopped because I wanted to. When you said I had pretty eyes, something inside me changed. I looked at you, this small, terrified human, and I felt something I had never felt before. Something strange and confusing and wonderful." Felt his heart beat faster. "What did you feel?" "Hope," said simply. "For the first time in my life, I felt hope. That maybe I was not meant to be alone forever. That maybe someone could see past the warrior and find the person underneath." Didn't know what to say. He had spent 3 weeks with this woman, learning about her life, her dreams, her fears. He knew her better than he knew most of his own crew. And somewhere along the way, without meaning to, he had started to care about her. "I care about you," he said. "I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you laughed at my terrible jokes. Maybe when you taught me how to fight and didn't make fun of me for being weak. Maybe when I saw you watching those comedy shows and realized you were just as lonely as me." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that maybe this wasn't an accident after all. Maybe it was fate. Maybe the universe threw us together for a reason." His eyes widened. "Do you mean?" "I don't know what I mean. I'm a translator, not a philosopher. But I know that when I think about going home, I feel sad. And when I think about staying here with you, I feel less sad." "That is not very romantic." "I told you I'm not good at this." Made her laughing sound. But this time there were tears in her eyes too, purple tears that glowed faintly in the starlight. "You are impossible," she said. "You are weak and small and annoying, and you make terrible jokes, and you cannot fight at all." "I know. And I think I love you anyway." His heart stopped. "You what?" "I said I think I love you. I am not certain because I have never loved anyone before. But when I am with you, I feel peaceful, happy. Like I do not have to be a warrior anymore. Like I can just be." That's probably love. I'm not an expert, but that sounds like love. Do you feel the same? Thought about it, really thought about it. He was a translator. He worked with words every day. But right now, words seemed completely useless. I think so, he said finally. I'm scared and confused and completely out of my depth. But when I imagine my life without you in it, it feels empty. And when I imagine my life with you, it feels full. Full of what? I don't know, adventures, arguments about warriors' tea, you laughing at comedy shows, me making terrible jokes. Whatever it is, I want it. I want all of it. Reached out with one of her forearms and gently touched his face. Her fingers were rough from years of fighting, but her touch was soft. Tomorrow, she said, we will stand before the High Council. What will we declare? Took a deep breath. This was the biggest decision of his life, bigger than leaving Earth, bigger than becoming a translator, bigger than anything he had ever done. I think, he said slowly, we should declare a true bond. His eyes went wide. Are you certain? No, I'm terrified. But I've learned something over the past 3 weeks. Sometimes the best things in life happen by accident. Sometimes you find love when you're panicking and about to die, and you say something stupid about pretty eyes. That is a very specific lesson. It's a very specific situation. Pulled him into an embrace. She was so much bigger than him, but somehow the hug felt right, like they fit together perfectly despite their differences. You will have to live among my people, she said. You will have to learn our ways. It will not be easy. I know, but I'm a fast learner, and I have a good teacher. What about your crew, your ship? I'll visit them. They're my family too, but maybe I can have 2 families now. They stood there in the starlight, holding each other, 2 completely different beings who had somehow found their way to each other through panic and accident and fate. The next day, they stood before the High Council. Thousands of warriors watched as commander of the 3rd Battle Fleet stood beside a small human translator from Earth. The bonding ritual is complete, the High Elder announced. What do you declare? Looked at, he nodded. We declare a true bond, said. This human has proven himself worthy. He faced death with courage. He learned our ways with respect. He saw me not as a monster, but as a person. I am honored to call him my bondmate. The crowd went silent. Then slowly the warriors began to stomp their feet. It was applause style. The sound grew until it shook the entire chamber. Looked out at the crowd. Somewhere in there was the officer who had questioned. He was stomping too, a look of grudging respect on his face. On a screen in the corner, could see his old watching the ceremony from the horizon, was crying and laughing at the same time. Captain Minu looked stunned. They were all there, watching their translator become the bondmate of an alien warrior. Smiled and raised his hand in a small wave. Then he turned to his accidental love, his terrifying partner, his strange and beautiful bondmate. So he said, what happens now? Now, said with a smile, our real adventure begins. And so it did. Had panicked and blurted out something stupid, and it had led him to the love of his life, a new home among the stars, and a story that would be told throughout the galaxy for generations. All because he told a deadly alien warrior woman that she had pretty eyes. Some accidents, it turned out, were the best things that could ever happen.